Hello, everyone. If you're a green card holder and planning to travel or even thinking about it, this could be one of the most important updates you must be aware of. Because as of now, new U.S. enforcement rules are hitting permanent residents hard. And under these strict changes, travel isn't as simple as packing a bag and booking a return ticket. It doesn't matter if your trip is short. It doesn't matter if you've traveled before without issues. The question immigration officers are now trained to ask is, do you truly still live in the United States? In this video, we'll explain what these new rules actually mean, how CBP officers are now evaluating your intent to live in the U.S., how officers are now assessing your intent to reside, and we'll also cover the key documents you must carry every time you travel, because without them, your green card could be at serious risk. If you are liking this video, please hit the bell button, subscribe, and like it, so that you may get updates straight to your smartphone. Now let's get into the video. In the past, returning to the US with a valid green card was a near guarantee, even after months spent abroad. But that understanding is no longer reliable. In 2025, Customs and Border Protection, CBP officers have received updated training and directives from the Biden, and now Trump, administrations to dig deeper into patterns of travel and long-held ties to the U.S. This isn't hypothetical, it's happening now. These changes mean that even after a short vacation, you could be pulled aside for a more detailed re-entry interview. Officers are now formally evaluating whether you still intend to permanently reside in the U.S. They're examining your travel frequency and duration, employment records, property ownership, tax filings, even your digital footprint. Recent CBP communications confirm that lawful permanent residents are now part of a broader enforcement strategy. It's no longer sufficient just to hold a green card. What are border officers looking for? Officers have been instructed to compile a fuller picture of your life. They're looking for proof that the U.S. is still your primary home, beyond the immigration status itself. That includes steady employment, an active U.S. address, valid driver's license, tax records filed as a resident, and even routine mail or utilities in your name. If your travel history shows frequent short trips, lacks explanation, or corresponds with long absences abroad, that may raise red flags. For example, a person traveling multiple times yearly could be at higher risk than someone who took one 6-month trip once, the Ahluwalia firm. That said, no trip is too short to be scrutinized now. Officers can request your supporting documentation during secondary inspection at the border. If you're unable to demonstrate intent to reside, you could be detained, receive a notice to appear in immigration court, or even have your green card flagged for closer inspection during future travel. Back in early 2025, a green card holder of Filipino origin who stayed abroad for 9 months to care for a sick parent was flagged at re-entry. Fortunately, they had proactively secured a re-entry permit, maintained their U.S. tax filings, and held a lease agreement, allowing CBP to determine they hadn't abandoned their status. In other cases, lawful residents have reported being questioned about social media, past minor offenses, or their political activities during travel. These are no longer fringe stories, but part of a wider pattern that's raising alarm across immigrant communities. What this means for your citizenship path, planning to naturalize. Your travel is now more critical than ever. Extended trips abroad can interrupt the required continuous residence needed to apply for U.S. citizenship. And the new scrutiny makes it even harder to justify your absence later. This can derail both your naturalization timeline and your green card status if CBP perceives your absence as problematic. So what should you do? First, review your travel plans carefully. If you're preparing for travel of 6 months or longer, consider obtaining a re-entry permit, Form I-131, before departure. Second, keep all documentation together. Recent pay stubs, tax returns, utility bills, lease or mortgage records, plus evidence of family or school ties in the U.S. Third, don't assume a re-entry permit removes scrutiny. CBP officers still have full discretion upon re-entry. even with a permit in hand. Fourth, audit your tax filings. If you filed as a non-resident or failed to file altogether, secure your record before traveling. The IRS and CBP often share data, and a missing tax return may signal that your residency has lapsed. Fifth, know your rights at the border. CBP can inspect your belongings and devices without a warrant, but you have the right to consult an immigration attorney and refuse to sign Form I-407, which would relinquish your green card. Even if you haven't noticed changes personally, immigration lawyers across the country confirm these patterns are now widespread. Your green card travel is no longer assumed to be automatic. In the eyes of enforcement, it's performance-based. Your life, rooted here, must be easily demonstrated by plans, presence, and paperwork. The U.S. Immigration Updates channel provides all necessary visa information and procedures for your U.S. immigration journey. It is important to understand U.S. immigration processing steps, visa application requirements, processing times, forms, fees, and more. We continue to offer insights on B1/B2 visitor visas, work visas like L1A/L1B/H1B, student visas, immigrant categories like EB1 through EB5, and family-based green cards. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the U.S. Immigration News Channel.